The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning and welcome to Guardian Radio AM. Today is Thursday, August 20th. It's a little after 11 o'clock in the morning. Once again, this is C.A. Newry and I shall be your host for today. The numbers to call are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Of course, if you're calling from the family of islands, the number is 242-300-5720. If you decide to text me, the text line is powered by VTC, and the text number is 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. Standard text rate supply, of course. Let's start. Today's show is sponsored by Island Games. I'm excited to have them on board. I want to say that today's topic is going to be a kaleidoscope of topics. We're asking questions. So if you have a pending question that you think that the Bahamian populace has forgotten, but you want to let the authorities and those know that you haven't forgotten, to bring it back to the fore, to hopefully that someone will take it up and join you on your quest of getting some answers, this is the time to call and say, hey, you remember this? How come we haven't received any explanation regarding this? One of those pet peeves of mine where I am, because the buck stops with him, the Prime Minister. He said that again and again and again. The first of amongst equals, first of all, I think our Prime Minister has purposely bastardized cabinet. It's unfortunate. I think that partisan politics into cabinet in terms of how they manage it, and it's unfortunate. But there's no constitutional lawyer out there. There's none of his parliamentary colleagues who would say, okay, you went too far in terms of the explanation, right? It reminds me of another prime minister, competent authority, when all the buck stopped with him, when he said he's going to suspend the Constitution and everybody just looked at him and nobody got up and said, no, you went too far. The buck stops with the Prime Minister, and I don't think the buck stops at the Prime Minister because he's the first among equals. We all have equal share here because Parliament, the cabinet doesn't belong to him at all. It belongs to us. It's our cabinet. And the words that he's using is insulting to the Bahamian psyche and intelligence, and I don't think we have any competent people to challenge our Prime Minister when he talks foolishness. And I think that his statement is foolishness, but who am I to say it? I'm willing to say it to your face. He's just man, right? But man who can mash people up and finish them. But I will talk about that soon. Some months now, the Prime Minister made an announcement that he would allow two key figures inside his caucus, his parliamentary caucus, to be cabinet ministers. He said that no law was changed. Even though they in gaming, they have facilitated and met the requirements of being to be a cabinet minister. There was supposed to be an explanation on how that came about. Like I said, it doesn't bother me whoever become a cabinet minister. No. If they want Mr. Sebastian and Miss Leslie Miller Bryce to be in the cabinet, so be it. But I would like to have an explanation. You just can't say, I in charge. And that's what he said, I in charge. Your opinion or concern does not matter. And I said, the Bahamian people deserve an explanation of what changed. I ain't saying you can't do it, no. But I just want an explanation. But we have reached a point where our leader said we don't deserve an explanation, or he does not need to give us an explanation. Recently, regarding BPL crisis, and I'm not sure if we're in a crisis or not, that's a debate by itself, but there's a concern because Bay Street is off. Parts of Church Street is off, right? And when you ask for an explanation, kindly explain to me what is happening. Our Prime Minister says the buck stopped with him. He's in charge. You don't need to go and ask the minister who's in charge of it, the Minister of Energy in this case. He said, don't worry about her. Don't worry about her because The buck stops with me. I have an issue with that because we have a lot of unions out there. And the unions always challenging the ministers. And there's a reason why the union challenged the ministers, because the unions have realized through the prime minister that the ministers have no power because the buck stops with the prime minister. They have realized that the prime minister has bastardized our cabinet and our system because everything must go through him. At this present time, our prime minister is a minister of nothing at this present time, purposely, because he wants to manage everything. And with that, he now has become the minister of everything. We had another competent authority who did that. Minister of everything. All decisions, all explanations, all points of interest, all concerns comes through him. And if you're unsatisfied with the minister, you can ignore them and go straight back to the prime minister and make an appointment, and he will solve it and diminish those who are now his underlings. They're no longer his equals. It can be an issue whenever this particular prime minister retires. There will be an issue because of his own doing. It can be a war in the PLP because of what the prime minister, what the leader of the PLP is doing to their system. It can be an issue because it has to be a war. Because whoever becomes leader of the PLP will have to dominate dogmatically, viciously, any of the underlings. Everything have to come through him. There's no equality in the PLP anymore. Everything comes through him because he is in charge. There's no consideration. There's no debate. There's no saying, well, I have a different opinion, but majority rules because all things comes through him. He makes all the decision. Good bodily decision. And I think PLPs need to be concerned for their party. I think by extension, if the PLP wins the government again and there's a new leader, the system of our governance should be concerned. Sometimes we need to push back as good citizens and say, man, he's a good man, I like you, but you're talking folly. You sound like that competent authority, boy. That dictator, boy. Sound dictatorship-ish. And I'm saying sensible. And mind you, the PLP have all the cases, This is why they kept the Attorney General right there, because they need someone to challenge all. You see, when the president of the Bar Council spoke, the Attorney General come there with his sword and shield, start slashing. What you talking about? I'm not sure even if the FNM or the opposition or any opposition have any cases. I think the PLP has similar how they gutted media, they gutted the legal profession to have all of them there or as employees just in case someone decides to challenge them and their system. And it's a concern. It's a concern for democracy. Good-minded Bahamian people, despite it being your party, shouldn't say, I'm not thinking about now. I'm thinking from 5 years from now when you're saying, no, it shouldn't go like this. And then the person there say, I in charge. The buck stops with me. And I shall cut you down if you come and challenge. It's a problem. I see I have a caller here. As I go through a number of topics today, kaleidoscope topics, I want to bring that up because the statement of the Prime Minister hurt me. It slashed me. It cut me. And I said, I need some balm of Gilead to put on my arm because that hurt. And I've seen not enough PLPs are complaining to say, I understand what you're saying, but you can't be making pronouncements like that because it's not good for governance. It's not good for me 10 years, 20 years from now when you have transitioned. Let's go to the first caller there. Guardian Radio AM, this is CA Newry. Go ahead, caller. Kermit. That's me. Go ahead, caller. You're live.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm going to give it, Mr. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir.
And you nearly answered a question you just alluded to a question I was trying to ask for a while. I listened to the Prime Minister brief and about weekend, and I wonder, he said about talks with them. And I was like, he's going to do what the former Prime Minister did, Mr. Hugh Alexander Ingram. And I'm sorry for the next Prime Minister or the leader of the PLP, because if the Prime Minister, how it looks, he don't tend to come back. So if he's doing all the right things, so like the road improvement, what people need, the person who's going to be the leader next to the PLP they're going to have a hard time trying to win the country over.
I am concerned, but I don't think.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that as well.
I don't think the PLPs are concerned. They are concerned about winning. Winning answers everything. So at this
I
present
don't
time,
think that because then, the PLP to me, they believe in successive leadership or who will be the next leader of the PLP. And I think the Prime Minister took a stand. This is my last time, I won't be returning. I'm going to do what the majority of the Bahamian people want. And then the party will have to say, hey, what you doing? And then they'll have not a say. So this is going to be really interesting to watch this Prime Minister last time.
Some years ago, Carla, before you go, I spoke to a senior PLP official. I'm not going to indicate who he is. And I asked why, this was before Mr. Davis became Prime Minister, and I asked, leader of the PLP, I asked, why don't any of you challenge for leadership? You said the person said you don't challenge the current leader. You have to wait till you demit, he at the time demits office, because the leader will use all of his forces in order to deal with you. So that's why nobody's challenging. And I'm assuming that now it has become a culture within the PLP that even if they disagree with Mr. Davis, it's culturally in the party not acceptable for anyone to challenge him.
Yeah, that's correct. Let me tell you when that started from. I feel like that started from when the minister, Ms. Martin, when she challenged Perry Gladstone Christie. I feel the culture switched then. After that, you realize when the late Obadiah Wickham tried challenge, everybody is like, they believe in successive leadership. They know who will be the next leader.
Mm-hmm.
They try challenge that, you gone. And I'm surprised that Anna Martin is still there.
No, she got mashed up. They mashed up when she challenged.
Yeah, when they had one man, one leader, remember that?
Yes. Make sure she knows. She ain't gonna do it no more, though.
No, definitely not. She needs that, brother. Thank you, my son.
She ain't gonna do that no more. She learned.
No.
She learned a lesson quick. Don't do that no more. And it makes a problem of whoever the Prime Minister endorses to be leader will become leader of the Progressive Labour Party. And I keep on using the word misnomer Prime Minister. I mean leader of the PLP. So forgive me for doing that back and forth, right? So I'm not sure if there's going to be any democracy in the system. So if you're in the backbencher and you say, man, I think I am most competent of being the leader and I'm going to try and convince the caucus to support me, I think you will be met by the iron fist of whoever in charge and whatever they intend. And I don't think that's healthy for democracy. Another issue I wanted to talk about is United States and their immigration process regarding the Haitian immigrants who had temporary status due to their earthquake. Remember the Haitians had that big major earthquake? At one point in time, our then Prime Minister, we always had Prime Ministers who do strange things. Our then Prime Minister released about 100 immigrants who they were planning to deport to Haiti and said it would be inhumane if you deport them at this present time because they just had a devastating earthquake. So he released them. They're all about now. They have children and things. I don't even know where they are. He didn't mention if he had names or dates or took fingerprint to know that he could go to retain them again. He just released them to the public. So he can't deport them, right? And I want to know what this new policy of the United States where they are deporting these Haitian migrants back to Haiti. And you know what I want to ask? What should be the Bahamian policy regarding that? Are they being deported to secondary countries? Have we made any decision on whether we'll be a secondary spot? Like how in a number of these other Caribbean nations say, yes, you can send one or two of them here. Is that what's happening? Or are we only accepting those who have ties to the Bahamas? And then we have the interrogate ties. If you were Haitian, using them as an example, if you were a Haitian national born in the Bahamas, but you never obtained Bahamian status, citizenship, whatever it is, you go on to the United States to do however you get to the United States, right? And now you're being deported. But you already passed the age of 19, 20, or whatever age you're supposed to apply. Do we release you into the public, or we say, man, you never got Bahamian status. You never went to high school, primary school here. You're going straight to the detention center. I don't know the policy. I want to know if they take you and put you in the detention center now and say, well, you got to go. I hear you born here, right? But you missed the time that you're supposed to apply because you're now 30. You missed the time that you're supposed to apply to be Bahamian citizen, and you got to go someplace. But they ain't going to be here. I don't know what the policy is. Someone might know what the policy is. And you could call in and tell me what the policy is. The lines are all light up after that. When we talk Haitians, the lines get light up. Let's go to the caller there. Guiding Radio AM, you live?
Hey.
Hey, you live.
Man, you switch on me. You were talking about leadership in the PLP. And now you switch on to the Haitians. I want to comment on both of them.
You could comment on whatever. Today's topic is kaleidoscope of topics. That's where I started off with.
Okay, but let me say something about what I've learned about Sir Lyndon Pinland and leadership in the PLP. You know, Sir Lyndon Pinland always believed that a leader is not a person that have people following them. Because you see the Jonkono group, anybody in the front of the Jonkono group, the next 300-400 following them. So he's the leader. I believe, like Sir Lyndon said, a leader creates leaders. You see the amount of leaders that Sir Lyndon Pinland created. People like a Perry Christie, people like a Bernard Norwich, people like a Alfred Sayers, people like a David. That's a leader. Leader create leaders.
Let me pause you there. Let me help you there with your narrative. Now let's go. Since you would say that, let's go to UBP. UBP hired Sir Lyndon Pinland. Hired Cecil Wallace. See, in that generation were hired by the UBP. You trying to say that the UBP is responsible for the Bahamas now? What you saying? Because all of them were employed under UBP forces. See,
what you mean employed?
They had jobs. UBP.
Yeah, but I'm talking about.
Guess who sent them to school?
The
No. You talking gibberish? Guess who sent all of them in that era to school? The UBP. They're responsible for the psyche and the ethos of the current Bahamas. And so we would now have to take away whatever orders you given to Lyndon and now put it back on the UBP?
No.
You just talking to hear yourself, man. Stop it.
You can't never
I
get me to
say
say
stop it.
that the UBP didn't
That's
do
why I have to
something
cut
this
you,
country.
because you just talking politics, man. Let's talk sense. Because you're just trying to portray a narrative, but there's no need, man. There's no need. That's why I had to buffer it and say, see, you're talking silliness. So I can talk silliness too. I don't like talking silliness, man. Let's go to the callers there. Guardian Radio. I'm supposed to have a guest today, no. Hopefully she comes soon. Guardian Radio AM. Go ahead, caller. Call you there. Kermit. Guardian Radio AM, you there?
Yeah, hello. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How you doing, man?
Okay. Is today like an open air?
Go ahead, talk to you, sir.
Okay. I was just some colleagues of ours we were talking yesterday, and I just wanted to put out there and just get a general concept. What we were discussing is if the Bahamas was ever put in a position where we would become a part of the United States, how many Bahamians, or how do you think the Bahamian people would feel about that? And do you think that Britain, even though we call ourselves independent, how do you think that how do you think they would feel about that? But it was just interesting to hear what the majority of people were saying yesterday, and I just wanted to find out if how do you think Bahamians will feel about that if we were to become a part of the United States?
Personally, I don't like answering nonsensical questions. That's just me, right? Because next thing I'll ask, how would you feel if the Bahamas become part of Haiti or we adopt Haiti? Just nonsensical things can't happen, right? But I'll entertain you in the meantime. But the Bahamians love being...
You really think it's nonsensical that it can never happen?
Never happen.
I see.
Now,
so you say you're a man of scholar and you're a man of information.
And I say never happen.
You know how many countries that are now a part of the United States thought the same thing?
United States is an invasive country. They just come and bomb and destroy things. I know. I ain't mad at them. But there is no need. There's no need to invade and destroy us. We are a good small nation. So why do entertain fully? They have no need to invade.
They're not going to invade us.
That's what they do. Throughout the world, that's what they do. We see the history. Ask Haiti. Ask what country is Guyana? I think that one where they put all the forces and anyway, that's what they do.
If you say so, bro, all I just said, you'd be surprised to know what most Bahamians will say.
No, we ain't interested. We want to be a sovereign country and have our own prime minister and vote.
You ain't interested.
We see how the African Americans are treated. We don't want that.
How are they treated?
They don't even know that they changing their names now. Before they was colored, then they turned black, then they turned African Americans. Now they turned and you say foundational Black Americans. All of that is happening because of how they are treated. They lost, and we don't want that. We want to be a Bahamians.
Well, put it to the test. See what a lot of people have to say.
I hear your question. I still think it's a nonsensical question. Next thing you say, the Britain will come and invade us and take us and give us a king again, and then majority of people will be here will be British.
That was not my question. That was not my point.
I understand. I think it's more reasonable.
You want today, man. You want today.
I think it's more reasonable to say that Haiti will come and invade us. That's something I could actually see.
Nah.
I can see it.
Not a day like it.
Same thing. Nonsensical topics. That's what I'm trying to say. Thanks very much, though. I appreciate you. But the topic is open in case someone wants to say, yes, I want to be American. Let them come and have us be second-class citizens and bring all the majority, which is white Americans here, and have all the jobs and we'll be workers. I mean, it's possible. My guest is finally reached. I'd like to welcome Ms. Siobhan to my studio again. Thank you very much. And the
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The last question is, after I continue, right? I was asking about first amongst equals. Does the buck stop the prime minister on everything? Or should ministers have a portfolio and they have their portfolio say, we'll carry on this job? Or it doesn't matter that if you're having a union issue and the union does not like what the minister is saying, so man, the hell with you, I go into the prime minister because he doesn't say. He's the competent authority. The buck stop everything comes through him and designed through him. He's no longer the first among these equals. I'm not sure where they make that phrase up. You ever heard that phrase?
First among equals.
What does that mean before you start? And he's no longer the first amongst equals. He is the position.
Just to answer, good afternoon, Bahamas. Just to answer your question, though, I think that we're inconsistent of our expectations of a leader. Sometimes we'd say, okay, yes, there's a cabinet minister. The cabinet minister has a portfolio. But when you have something happening that is significant.
Like what?
Like the level of disruption in power.
I haven't heard from the minister yet.
No, the minister has put out statements.
Yeah? No, I heard from the prime minister. The buck stops with him. I don't even want to listen to the minister no more.
But you see, you're being inconsistent.
No. I'm now being consistent because it has been stated her opinion no longer matters. I heard it. I'm sure you heard it. But now you won't be inconsistent with your thing. The buck stops with him.
I did not hear her opinion does not matter.
The buck stop with him. I don't want to hear it no more in life. Everything now goes through the prime minister because he said it. And that's where I'm at.
But I think that there's the way government works, there's things that
I don't care how the government works no more. The prime minister has made an announcement.
Yeah, but there are things that are seen and unseen. Because you see the face of the prime minister does not mean he's not in discussion with his minister.
I don't know what he's doing because he's not telling us no more. It's a secret.
I wouldn't say that. Different styles of leaders, right?
He's
different
the only
levels of information.
Of right now, and that this present time, the buck stops with him.
Well, I could tell you as a risk person, right? Mm-hmm. When it comes to communication, sometimes less is more. The more you say, the more people will tear apart.
I agree. He should have been quiet.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he cannot say that. No, his level of he has to be seen as the commander in chief to be present. And what other people see is pain. He has to see that, else you'll say he's not an empathetic leader.
I'm just saying incompetence.
Right?
I see incompetence. You say empathetic. I see incompetence. I'm just saying what I see.
But that's what he's saying. The buck stops with him, meaning if there's a problem, he's taken. Now, what is it about what he did that said, come to you?
That's what he said.
That's a response. He's saying in terms of communication, when they asked about hearing from the substantive minister.
Don't go to her no more.
You're right in front of the ultimate leader. Why are you still asking If I'm present in front of you, what is your question?
I want to know the technical things what happening in that BPL, and he said, "Don't go worry about that. Come to him."
But like I said, we're inconsistent.
Yes, he is.
On
Yes,
some cases,
he is.
people want to say,
Yes, he is.
during a tenure, he had responsibility for this agency. So why is it that you would think he can't answer?
Yes, he is. Like you said,
But he
has
can
said-
answer.
Clearly, he's the only one to answer. That's what I heard. Let's go to the one caller.
Okay.
I understand.
'Cause it isn't only.
That's only.
It's not only. He's chosen
the Bahamian
to be
people
to
have
lead the
heard
narrative.
it, and now we don't like it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's a new communication. I just said would be here.
Yes.
We don't like it.
Okay.
Let's go to the callers then. You hear anything on why the change in policy regarding allowing people who are head or have operations in number gaming? Did they give any explanation on what changed or nothing changed?
What do you mean, like the 10, like the...
Once upon a time, you couldn't be in a cabinet if you were part of gaming.
Right.
I don't know what it was, but something changed. And I said, okay, something changed. What is it that changed? So did someone come and tell me, explain to you, us, what changed?
You want to take a call?
No, I can explain that and I can take a call after that. Let's take the call right
Yeah,
now.
take that call. Because it goes back
I'm just trapping you.
It
Sorry
goes
for that.
back to the law. Right?
I don't know no more.
Right?
Because
And in the law, when it comes to who can hold a gaming license,
Yeah.
I don't think that law has, in essence, changed.
I don't know.
Right? And I think that their laws do not conflict each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so if someone no longer has interests, then what is stopping them from holding office?
Yeah, someone need to explain that to me. I don't know.
If you divest of your interest because that interest was a conflict to
One
or an
person never
issue-
had no interest. They just was married to the interest.
Yeah,
And
but
I guess,
you're not seeing it
then we need to
separate.
explain what the best of interest is. If you family still give interest, or did someone else?
You
family go?
individually are no longer attached.
So yeah. So the first person who had no interest, the husband had interest, but now he divested, but they still getting the benefit, but not interest. But
That's an assumption.
We only assuming.
That's an assumption.
But surely someone should investigate and say, let's conclude this assumption.
But we have
And-
the fourth estate.
Yeah. See, I'm not a fourth estate now. I'm a part of that fifth estate. I do entertainment. See, just chaotic inside the country, man.
It's not.
I know.
We have rules.
This-
We're civilized and we're governed by rules.
I'm starting to
And the rules
question
are-
whether we civilized or not. That's what I said. I'm starting to question it because things happening and nobody asking no questions. The topic is questions today.
Yes, go ahead.
Kaleidoscope of questions. And sorry for baiting you like that.
No,
but
it's
this is
okay.
good sport. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM and go to my text after that. Go ahead, caller. Caller, you there? Caller, going one.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Newry, and to your guest. Mr. Newry, I agree with you 100%. See, your caller just want to be a typical lady, just want to have the last word. That's all she does. She continue to go on, even after you say, let's go to the caller. She
Who are you talking to? Who are you talking
Talking
about?
me.
where you come from, man? Hey, sorry about that, my good guest. And I there baiting you and having fun with you, and he trying to take it to a different level. So sorry about that. Let's go to the next caller there. Guardian Radio AM, the CA. Go ahead, caller. Call you there? Go ahead, caller.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm having fun with my guest today.
I know, right? I heard of the last Tuesday on before this week, right?
Yes.
Good. I heard it, and I like the direction, the playful.
Yes. I love her,
thing
actually.
That's going back and forth. It's just great because then it's not like one dimensional. It's not taking one side. It's like looking at it as a whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that because I was thinking myself, is the country beginning to seem like, and this is not just TLT or F&M or what have you, seem like there is a dictatorship rather than there is a democracy? Like, when do Bahamians have an opportunity if each leader is going to... And I remember Mr. Ingram. I love him. I think he was an amazing prime minister.
I think he's a dictator. I think he's a dictator, but go ahead.
Yeah, but he would have said, I say what I mean and I mean what I say, which means buck stops with me, and that he was clear with that.
I didn't like it then.
No, I didn't like it then. And so my thing about it is that the direction that we're going in.
Have mercy.
And if that's the direction we're going in, I don't like it, period. Because what is the point of us just voting for somebody and we never have an opportunity to say, well, okay, I think she would have indicated that we are governed by laws and by rules. To me, it seems sometimes, like we were talking about yesterday, about the House of Assembly when they come back in a month, that they're going to talk about adjusting the rent and looking at the rent situation. do you dictate what people are going to do in terms of that, or you set rules based on the fact that, hey, I want it to go this way, and the only way to get it to go my way is I put it in a rule, if I set a law. How far are they willing to go? How far are we going to go where Bahamians just have to sit quietly? We don't like the direction our country is taking, and we just sit and we cannot do anything about it. I'll listen to what she has.
I can let her. She has institutional knowledge, and she knows things, so I can let her respond. Go ahead.
Can you repeat that question?
In terms of a number of Bahamians thinking there is no democracy, with your institutional knowledge of various things, right? Some people know who you are, right? Is there democracy in a particular system? And you know, when I say particular system, you know what I'm talking about. But I don't want those
not
people.
Gonna be,
but I don't want those people who don't know who you are.
Yes.
No, assume. But in these institutions,
I'm very fair.
Is there democracy, and what is the democracy?
But a lot of people want to look at politicians and leaders in cabinet, but at the end of the day, all of the agencies, like state-owned agencies, there's established structure. No matter who is in power, there's established structure. So is it that we need to revamp civics and have civics communicated like how our government works? Because when you say a democracy, there's authority at all different levels, right? So certain things go up through department heads, then they go up to the functional head of the agency, it goes up to the PSs, it goes up to cabinet, and then cabinet makes a collective decision, right?
You think cabinet makes a collective decision?
I think they do.
Even though the buck stops at one person?
Because each cabinet minister has a choice. And following my understanding of the Westminster system, they either go with what, is to be the direction, or they are to leave.
Or get fired.
That's a democracy.
Get put outside.
That's a democracy. Your choice to not align with something. When you think, may he rest in peace, Vaughn Miller's position, he crossed the floor. He didn't agree. That's a democracy.
He was going to fire him, though. He crossed the floor because he was going to get fired.
It's a democracy. He went against the green. He went against leadership. He did not agree with something, and he went against it. That's a democracy. A democracy doesn't mean you have to decide. But there's consequences, right? And you have to understand, to me, it's more about power. Where does the power lie? Where does the authority lie? And then there's pressures that can come different places. Some politicians, for example, care about being reelected. So they will make certain decisions or behind closed door lobby for certain positions. That's not always going to be in the public domain, but that doesn't mean that the conversation didn't take place. So I don't think it's fair to just go to there's no democracy. There's power. Every institution has a power structure. And so, for instance, in a political party, I am not as familiar. I assume it's the same in both major parties, that there's a body that elects who the leader will be. That leader, if they win the general election, becomes the governing prime minister. There's a degree of power, and in our laws, when you read the laws, you could see what is conveyed to a minister and what the prime minister can do. And then there's that silent power where you could go against the leader, but there'll be a consequence. That doesn't make it a dictatorship. It's influence, and it's real. And every institution is. At The Guardian, there's a leader, there's an owner, there are shareholders. And you could be a talk show host and you could say what you want, but I'm sure that there's times when you could get raked over the coal, or you could be removed.
They call me in all the time.
Okay.
I just get texts in the middle of the show.
So you got to follow the power, right? And then at the end of the day, you have to decide if you, based on, I assume, your values and what your backbone, if you're going to go with the flow or you're going to walk away, stand your ground and walk away.
That's why I bring you here now, because I appreciate that. Let's go to the next caller here, right? I want to talk about selection committees again when nomination, and all of a sudden someone comes from nowhere. Was never even a part of the party, All of a sudden they they playing checkers when you jump over people. They take over the whole board, and then they turn senior minister. And they say, but you just reached. You didn't go to no class like how I go to class. They say it was my go. It was my go, right? But we'll talk about that later. Let's go to the caller. Guardian Radio AM, you're live. Call you there. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're kind of muffled, man. I want to hear you, but you're muffled. Okay, let me give you all the numbers again so you can try a different line. You ready? 323 6232 6232 or 325 4316.
Okay. Yep.
And,
that's the number I called.
okay, try this one. 325-4259. I can look up for you calling now because I can't understand it. I won't hear you, but it muffled bad. Thanks, eh? So, how is it that, in your knowledge, and I'm just talking about your institutional knowledge, how can some people jump over other people and they just reach? You can be vague.
I just still feel that there are things that are in public knowledge and there are things that are not. I think that, as far as I know, both of our parties have a constitution, they have structures, they have selection committees and vetting committees. So you can't assume it's from the outside looking in, it may look like someone jumped over someone else, but you don't know what decisions were made to eliminate or to keep somebody. And when you think about succession and what's looking forward, a lot of our senior politicians are aged. So I'm sure in both parties, there's some focus on the next, who's coming behind, And so to me, it may not be public information. And I think, again, I will not point to these institutions. I would point to the people that make them up. There are power bases in these institutions. If they want it to work differently, then they should internally lobby for it to work differently. If a decision is taken by that institution that you don't like, then voice your opinion. And that doesn't happen. I mean, again, when you think about the U.S., for instance, right? We hear about the influence of the pharmaceuticals companies on decisions that are taken. And then later on, you're like, oh, look at what's happening with the COVID-19 vaccines and the discussion. And you find that it was an economic decision. It wasn't necessarily the right, decision for wellness, right? It's because of lobbyists. So at the end of the day, you have may or may not be known. And this is just how it works.
Okay, let's go to the caller. The same caller who's trying to get in earlier. Go ahead, caller. Can you hear me now? Caller, you there?
You can hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hi, yes. I was just calling concerning the lady caller who said there's democracy in this country, which I agree with. The day the government, they go and they ask us for our opinions. But yes, when we vote and say no, they go and say yes, right behind the Bahamian people's back. And then on top of that, where she said that there's different governing bodies, like for me, I feel as if that there's no way that we should be allowing a one party to elect the person who they want to be prime minister. Y'all ain't even allowing me the chance to choose between the lesser of two evils. And then on top of that, why is the prime minister the one selecting the person who's supposed to be going into the Senate? So the Senate is supposed to be a separate body in order to veto any rules that's passed in Parliament that they do not agree with, that they feel as if it does not benefit the Bahamian people. But if these people are selected by the prime minister, they're basically the prime minister's cronies. So tell me how then can they operate separately, independently, without any influence from the prime minister and the people in the parliament?
Okay, let me put that question, Siobhan. Ms. Johnson, what's your opinion of the Senate? What is the purpose or mandate of the Senate?
First, I would just like to address the caller's sentiment about how things are operating. At the end of the day, I maintain that anything that we're not happy with, that we should be more vocal about, and we're not. And we have elections every 5 years, but governance takes place within those 5 years. As it relates to the Senate, I think if you look over time, and we should be proud of ourselves celebrating 53 years, the quality of the people that we produce. Now, their performance is different, but when you look at the Senate, she's highlighting where their allegiance is. But at the end of the day, one of the main duties of our politicians, our senators and our cabinet is to construct law, vet the law that will govern us as a country. And so a lot of times people do not partake. These things are in discussion before they're passed, right? Even when they're passed, because you've seen things passed that, to the credit of the current prime minister, there are things that were considered and rolled back, when they were doing the Immigration Act. And there was this misunderstanding about how the fast tracking, which to me, I think they were just changing the cost structure of processing. People should just be more involved. So it's almost like you have a structure where you give someone power to make decisions, and then you're saying, well, I don't like that they have all that power to make decisions. You can't go after the person. You have to lobby to change the system. So basically what they're describing is more of a republic. You want to be able to select your leader, is what I'm hearing from the caller. So that's switching from what we currently have to being more of a republic.
One of the pet peeves I have is the vocabulary used by parliamentarians. The Minister of Housing just recently was saying that, make an announcement that as the government, they plan to do this housing in Cat Island or whatever the place is, Family Island, right?
Launched, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying the government has taken upon themselves to do this project, they changed the narrative now. The Prime Minister is the one responsible for everything that is happening inside the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And I'm noticing that all of the ministers use that the Prime Minister concluded and do all the operations independently of us, and he has given me the mandate, and through his smartness and his sophistication, and I'm bringing it forth because of the greatness of the Prime Minister. And I said, I read this in 1984, that book. This is the same verbiage they used inside that book. And I said, I don't like it. It's like, I see the problem in the verbiage. And I said, these are educated people. I said, how come they didn't read the same books I read? I said, this is not, the verbiage is problematic.
I think we should pick our poison a little bit. We have a real housing crisis in the country. I feel
Thank God for the Prime Minister. He's the only one who could solve it.
I would go a step back. Because see, to me, that statement, with all due respect, is almost emotional, right? Because if you look in the last
Demons are emotional.
No, but if you look in the last administration.
I fired them.
Yeah, in the Blueprint for Change address, I'm not familiar with what the new manifesto is for the party, if the name changed or not, but it's something similar. They still have a focus on getting Bahamians, especially young Bahamians, into houses all over the country, which to me, a lot of what we've done. So to see more things happening in the Family Island is a good thing. Okay, so the word choice was, this is at the credit of the Prime Minister.
That's what I'm talking about.
Maybe, I know, I'm just tying it all together to say, even though the narrative that's promoted, say, by the minister is giving respect and credit to the Prime Minister in his announcement, the reality is this was a mandate that was developed on an area of focus. And even when the government's budget is set every year, there's a process where you have to map your initiatives back to the priorities of the government. So the money that is committed for these things are committed based on the direction that was set by the government at the time.
I mean, the Prime Minister, you keep on changing this to the government.
It's not
everything.
Now, when it's convenient, we say collective cabinet.
They change that. Amy, no, I ain't changing it now. Because I told his cabinet until recently when I find out everything. The buck stocks with the Prime. He does everything according to the minister. The minister say, if it wasn't for the Prime Minister, none of this is going to happen. It's him who's doing everything in the country.
I prefer to say, and I don't want to, because I don't have the narrative. I didn't hear. Keith Bell, correct?
Yeah.
I didn't.
But they all say it,
right? I don't think that's the. I think when these statements are made, they're thanking the Prime Minister for support of them in their capacity to deliver what they're supposed to deliver under their capacity.
Yeah,
but the plan was always there.
The Prime Minister made the plan.
Execute.
The Prime Minister
cabinet approved the plan.
The buck stops with the plan.
Every year.
Let's go to the
cabinet goes in.
I don't think the cabinet is meeting no more. The Prime Minister just saying, here.
Absolutely. The budget goes through rounds and rounds of review.
I know better now. Now that I hear the narrative, I know better. The Prime Minister does everything.
No.
Let's go to the caller. Guardian Radio AM, you live. Caller, you there? If Caller not there, I got to go back to Miss Johnson.
No, get to the caller.
Let me read these texts, right? There's a series of texts that says, why is the government building another hospital when the current PMH is in bad shape? I guess that's a generic question, right? You want to just skip that, right? Go move on. Says, where did the VAT money go from the first year they collected? Where are the pools they promised every school should have? They're building pools now. I see one or two pools being built. I come to you right now. Prepare that text, that caller there for me, Kermit. So I don't believe Lyndon Pinglin created anybody. I believe they existed and they happened to exist in the first PLP administration. So Lyndon is a competent authority. He cut down everybody and anybody who challenged him. And this journey 2 times his only job given by the PLP leadership is complete distraction of the powerful force questioning murky policies. Here he comes again. Thank you, CA, for calling out his nonsense. I guess he's talking about the caller before. Let's go to this caller right now there, Kermit. Okay, the person hang up, clear that line. So good morning, CA. If you remember, every campaign PLP poster had Brave on it because Brave is a tractable person. I like him. Now, my critique of him isn't that I do not like him. No. I find that if you go to Mr. Davis and say, I have a problem, the man will sit down and say, how can I help you? I know that. So this is when I remember I mentioned during the campaign, his picture is there for a reason. And is everywhere for a reason because in general, the Bahamian people trust Brave. The mother said, who the front of the picture, we ain't trust that much. But that background picture, we go with Brave. Let's go to the phone lines here. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM, you live.
Good morning to your guest.
Good morning. That's Miss Johnson.
Good morning.
Yes. I want to know, do the Prime Minister trump the Constitution?
No.
Ask your guest to answer that for me.
I did. I said no.
Why? Right. Are we a country of law?
Absolutely.
Do we have a process in which certain things are to be adjudicated?
Absolutely. And they are.
So when the Prime Minister said the buck stop at him, he needs, listen, and he hasn't clarified anything. Yeah, the buck stop at you?
I think we shouldn't take comments out of context. A reporter asked him about the presence of the substantive minister, and he said, I'm here, basically. The buck stops with me. What do you want to know? So he was welcoming the reporter to address him and not look for the substantive minister and to just ask the question, because it's still his duty to be informed. It's still his duty to direct, make resources available, guide, support, etc. So he's being an accountable leader. So he's simply saying the buck stops with what question do you want to ask? That's what I saw.
His response was he didn't respond to the reporter's request because the reporter wanted to ask certain things as it relates to BPL, and so he should have clarified certain things. Yes, he is the Prime Minister, but he appointed a minister. The minister asked at the pleasure of the Prime Minister. But at the same time, we got to do things the proper way, and things must be done in context.
I think, personally, I think that no Prime Minister that we've had...
Thank you, caller.
Thank you. Completely avoids answering questions. I think all of our Prime Ministers answer questions to some extent, or make information available. And I think a lot of information that the public seeks is available. They can make it easier, but a lot of information about spend, where money is going, who's doing what, I think it is publicly available.
I tell people just go straight to the Prime Minister one time, just circumvent all them stuff. Let's go to the caller.
I think he's quite engaging.
Yeah, let's go to the callers. Guardian Radio AM, you live, caller. Call you live. Kermit. Go ahead, call you live. Caller, you're not there. We're going to move on. Go ahead, caller, you live.
Yes, the lady that called in, I just want to say to her, top of the class, you know how they take those two fingers, the ladies take the two fingers and put it together with the long nails. Snap, snap. I want to say that to her. I want to ask your guest a question, though.
Go ahead.
You was mentioning just now, you spoke just now about reporters talking to the Prime Minister and other ministers. Are they supposed to be the last persons that reporters speak to? Because they're in a number of ministries, you have directors and you have permanent secretaries. Those are the persons who have their feet on the ground, who knows the intricate details of what exactly is happening. Why isn't the approach to speak with them, overall about whatever issues are happening in the said ministry? Why is it seemingly like, okay, we just had election like about 2-3 months, and I think it's just been general that you have ministers speaking about certain things, and some of them might have been new to that particular ministry. Is there a particular reason why it's not the director or the permanent secretary who's not taking on that role? I'll hang up and listen.
Okay.
Yes, I feel that again, like I said to CA earlier, we need to pick the side because we're in a democracy. So functionally, the PSs, the permanent secretary, if we're talking about a ministry or agency that falls under PS, they run the day to day. So when it comes to speaking on behalf of the agency, unless they delegate, normally you will see direction as to what's said. Even if someone else is the face of what's said, normally the permanent secretary has sight on what is going to be said, and the minister. If you have a responsible minister, that minister is going to know what is being said, because at the end of the day, this is an agency that is a state-owned agency, so they have to be accountable for what is that message that's out there. So I just think that we don't see the parts that come together to play. There is coordination in most, if not all, state-owned enterprises. And if you ever see statements are made that the government, the ruling government, or the minister is not in agreement with, heads do roll or someone is held to account. But, that's not in the public domain, right? But I think we do operate like an agency. And then when something is substantive, some persons don't want to see the PS. They want to see the minister or the prime minister. They don't want to see that other person down the line of authority. They want to, if it's substantive, they expect to see the substantive leader.
Let me ask this question quickly so you can respond to this. It says, hey, CA, let me yakk up your vexation some more. Would you rather be invaded and colonized by a former slave or slave owners with skills, or hostile cannibals that worship Satan with no skills? Pick red, blue, or black pill. Take your country into your own people's hand. Let me ask this question. On social media, asking whether like a country like Haiti would prefer to be colonized again or taken over by the United States or taken over by France, and by extension, they say the Bahamas. Would the Bahamas want to be taken over by the United States or Britain? I said, that question is nonsensical for us because we don't want to be taken over by nobody. We're sovereign, right? And the caller wanted to know whether we want to be colonized, owned, managed, governed by the United States. What you say you in the last couple of minutes?
I would just quickly say, if you look at what's happening in Africa, like in Burkina Faso, right? You have this resurgence of sovereign, like a different kind of sovereignty. Like, we have all these riches, we have all these wealth, we're intelligent, we can run our own country, we don't need you. I don't see us going backwards to any form of colonization, especially when we understand the talent and the resources within our country. Like, why would you go backwards? I don't think there's ever desire. And I think when you look at a country like Haiti, when you look at some of the stories behind Africa and you follow the money and you see who's influencing chaos, you realize it's, sometimes some members of the G7, for example, who are benefiting from the resources of these countries. I honestly don't think a lot of Haitians want to be out of Haiti. They just want stability in the country, which they don't have. And there's a lot of influence. So I don't condone the violence that's happening in Haiti, but I do think that some of it is a form of rebellious because they don't want to be controlled.
Would we be better off being American, or you think just being Bahamian?
No, I don't think we should go back.
You want me just to be Bahamian?
Yeah, I want to be Bahamian. I think that through our foreign policy, we can enter into arrangements that benefit us. We take our value proposition, they bring theirs, and we have a value proposition. I just don't think we always negotiate in our best interest.
What if the Britain would have kept us and don't allow us to get independent?
They shouldn't have owned us in the first place, in my opinion.
See, that's why I love you.
They shouldn't have owned us in the first. Well, and we need to go back and teach history, because nobody should have owned us in the first place.
Some of us like being owned,
Yeah, no, I don't want to.
And they want a particular type of person to own us.
No.
They didn't want no black people to own us, They want a particular looking type people.
Black and proud.
Yeah. At least we have some people like that.
Yes.
This has been Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Newry. Thank you very much, Miss Siobhan
Thank you for
Johnson.
inviting me.
I'm hoping that you're able to make it again next week. Hopefully we come at the beginning of the show.
I'll join you from New York. I'm taking my daughter to school.
Oh, congratulations, hey?
Thank you.
She's starting university?
Fordham University, New York City.
Good for you.
Yes.
Spending that money.
God is good.
God is good. This has been Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Newry. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Island Game players, Percy's pension plan is now accepting applications. Deposit $25 and you are officially in the running for a weekly salary of up to $1,000 a week for a full year. Applications close September 8th. Apply now at theislandgame.com. This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas. This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk.